Question 26. Solve the equations x squared plus y squared equals 36 and x equals 2y plus 6. Right, okay. First of all, this question really should say solve the simultaneous equations, because that's what they are. So to do that, notice if you see simultaneous equations where you've got squares in them, then you're not going to use the method where you have to match up the number of x's or the number of y's and eliminate them. What we're going to do here, because obviously the hard thing about solving simultaneous equations is that you've got an x and a y, so to eliminate one of the letters you need to use substitution. So where it says x squared plus y squared equals 36, we're going to use that, and it says here x equals 2y plus 6. So what we're going to do is, because we know that an x is 2y plus 6, we're going to replace x squared with 2y plus 6 squared, because x is the same as 2y plus 6. So I'm going to write down 2y plus 6 squared, so that's the x, that's worth x because it says there, plus y squared is equal to 36. So this is exactly the same as that first line there. The only difference is I replace the x with what it says here, that x is 2y plus 6. So what we need to do now is we need to multiply this out. So 2y plus 6 all squared is this. The same as 2y plus 6 multiplied by 2y plus 6. So use the lobster claw method. So 2y times 2y is 4y squared. 2y times 6 is 12y. This 6 times 2y there is another 12y. And 6 times 6 is 36. So that's that part. So we've still got another y squared plus y squared, and that is equal to 36. So now what we're going to do is we're going to tidy it up by gathering our like terms. So you've got 4y squared there, and you've got a y squared there. So that means we've got 5y squared. You've got 12y there and a 12y there, so that's plus 24y. You've got the number 36 there, and it equals 36 there. So plus 36, and it equals 36. Now, to solve an equation like this, you want it to equal 0. If you look here, you've got 36 on that side and 36 on that side. So we can actually subtract 36 from both sides, so you get 5y squared plus 24y equals 0. So, we need to solve this. We need to factorise it. That's how we're going to solve it. When you've got y's here and y's there, and there's no plus a normal number on the end, we're going to just simply use simple factorisation. What can you take as a factor out of there and also out of there? So you look at the numbers, 5 and 24. What number goes into 5 and 24? Nothing, just 1. So that we don't bother taking 1 out. So now you look at the letters, you've got y squared here and you've got y. So the only thing we can do is take out a factor of y. So y, open a bracket, what do you multiply y by to get 5y squared? Well, that's going to be 5y, because 5y times y is 5y squared. Plus, what do you times y by to get 24y? Well, that's going to be the 24 part. And that is equal to 0. So now, when you've got something that equals 0, something times something else equals 0. That means we have to pretend, or say, that they are both 0. So y is 0. That's one answer. But also, this 5y plus 24 is also 0. So what we need to do is solve that. And that'll give us the other y. There's two values of y. Y equals 0 and whatever this gives. So 5y, take away 24 from both sides, is minus 24. Divide both sides by 5, so one single y. Minus 24, I would usually divide it by 10, minus 2.4, times it by 2. But obviously you've got a calculator, so use your calculator. Divided by 5, so it's minus 4.8. Okay, so minus 4.8y, and you've got y equals 0. So we've got the two y's. So I'm going to write here y equals 0 and minus 4.8. Now we need to find x's. Okay, now to find out x's, we're going to use this equation there. Okay, so use to find x after you find y. Okay, so because it says x equals 2y plus 6, so if y equals 0, x equals 2y plus 6 equals 2 times 0 plus 6, which means x equals 6. So x equals 6, and obviously we've got to find the other one. X equals 2y plus 6 equals 2 times minus 4.8 plus 6, which is 2 times minus 4.8 is minus 9.6 plus 6. That is, obviously, remember, use your calculator. Minus 9.6 plus 6, which is minus 3.6. So there we have our two values of y and two values of x, and there's two values for each one because you've got these squares in, which means you end up with quadratic equations, and quadratic equations usually have two values of x and y.